Just one moment.
Oh, sorry, you're premature there.
Okay, now.
I declare the annual meeting of the City Council open. Good evening, everybody. This meeting is being conducted remotely in accordance with the coronavirus regulations and remote meetings protocol agreed by Cabinet, which will operate alongside the Council's standing orders to ensure that we will continue to take democratic decisions in an open and transparent manner. I remind members that this meeting is being live streamed to the public. Can I request that you all switch off your cameras and mute your microphones when you are not speaking to ensure there's no unnecessary background noise to help with the audio and visual quality of the broadcast. The Council's standing orders and code of conduct will apply at all times during this virtual meeting in the same way as ordinary meetings, and members should conduct themselves accordingly. Can I also remind members to ensure the chat function is switched on to use the facility to indicate to me they want to wish to speak on a particular item. Please do not speak until I invite you to do so, and remember to unmute your microphone and switch on your camera. For the benefit of everyone watching a live stream, when I invite you members to cast their votes on any particular item, they will do so electronically using the voting facility in the chat function. The votes will be automatically counted and recorded on the system, but individually votes are not identified on the screen, and the chat room poll is not available on live stream for public viewing. However, I will announce numbers of votes cast for and against and the extensions before I declare the results. As well as being a live broadcast, a recorded version of this remote meeting will be uploaded onto the Council website for public viewing as soon as possible after the meeting. Welsh translation for the proceedings can be provided upon request. The images and sounds recordings may be also used for training purposes within the Council. Thank you. Item 1, apologies. I've received apologies for Councillor
Cleverly,
James Clark,
Councillor Cleverly,
Councillor Jan Cleverly, and Councillor James Clark. Thank you. Anything else, David?
Martin Calloway is trying to log on, can't. Can you give his apologies if he doesn't manage to join us, please?
Yes.
Chair, I'm here. Thank you.
Do you see here, Martin?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Yeah.
Okay. If there are any other apologies that need to be recorded, then please write those names in the chat box and it will be recorded in the minutes. Item 2, declarations of interest. Nominees for appointments will be asked to declare personal interest in each item before they are voted upon. This will be recorded in the minutes, and the relevant declaration of interest forms will be emailed to the members after the meeting for completion and return. There is no need for the members to leave the remote meeting while their appointments are being determined. Are there any other declarations of interest to be made at this stage? Thank you. Item 3, election of the Mayor. We now move to agenda 3 on the agenda, the election of the Mayor for the ensuing year. Is there a nomination?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that the Council elects Councillor David Williams to serve as the Mayor of the City for the forthcoming year, please.
Thank you, Leader. Would you like to speak on the motion now?
I would, Mr. Mayor, if that's okay.
That's okay, yes. Thank
you very much for that. Well, colleagues, I'm delighted to nominate Councillor Williams for this role for this forthcoming year. It's been my absolute pleasure to work alongside Councillor Williams in Scrutiny previously, worked closely with him. And also, I have to say, I very much appreciate his artistic talents and the contribution that he's always made to our Christmas Carol service as well. So David is going to be, I'm sure, a fantastic mayor for the city of Newport. Now, Councillor Williams has served as a councillor for many years, representing residents in the Graig ward very well. During this time, he's held the post of chair of the Performance Scrutiny Committee people, which is where we spent many many interesting times debating a number of issues. And he's also the council appointed governor for Basleg School and Pentraporth Primary School. He's been, and I think he's served those schools in his community really well as well. So really pleased to be making this nomination today. Now, like his predecessor in the mayoral chair, Councillor Williams is Newport born and bred, growing up in the Graig area. And I know that he's incredibly proud to be given this opportunity to serve his home city. And this is something that has become particularly poignant for him personally, given the challenging events of the last year. David, I've every confidence that you will approach your new role with characteristic enthusiasm and gusto. May I wish you and Ruth my very best wishes for a successful and enjoyable term of office. Mr. Mayor, I formally move the election of Councillor David Williams.
Thank you, Leader. Is there a seconder for this motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, can I second the motion?
Yes, you can, Councillor Evans, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm delighted to second that the council elects Councillor David Williams to serve as the Mayor of the City for the coming year. David, on behalf of your party colleagues and friends, we are hugely proud to see you taking on this important role today. I've worked alongside you for 15 years now, both in administration and opposition roles, and I know taking on this new challenge means a huge amount to you and your family and friends supporting you. As well as being a farmer, I gather David, as the leader's already mentioned, likes singing and has sung for prestigious organisations like the Council Choir. Oh, and let's not forget also the Welsh National Opera. I know you have lots of plans for what you want to achieve this year, but make sure you also take time to relax and enjoy this special time. As those of us who have gone before you know, the year will fly past. I'm not sure you'll have much time to visit the gym or practice Taekwondo, but your brown belt should come in handy if somebody tries to borrow the mayoral chains. Please accept our best wishes to you, Ruth and Victoria for a happy, successful and fun time in office. Mr. Mayor, I formally second the motion to elect Councillor David Williams as the next Mayor of Newport.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Is there any other nomination? It's been moved and seconded that Councillor David Williams will be appointed as Mayor and Chair of Council. Would all councillors please cast their vote now by clicking on the appropriate box in the chat room function and then submit. I will give all members a short time to cast their vote before confirming the result.
I voted 10 times because he's great.
I can't see the voting, but I think
so that's carried unanimously today.
Unanimously, I was going to say that. Thank you. I can now invite Councillor Williams to take the chair for the remainder of this meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. It's a great honour for me to accept the nomination of Mayor, and I look forward to serving our city as its first citizen for this municipal year. Once again, we are unable to hold a formal mayor-making ceremony at the present time, but a civic event will take place as soon as this can be arranged. I would also like to express my personal thanks to the outgoing Mayor, Tom Suller, and his wife, Pat, for their sterling work during the past year, and for really stepping into this role at the last minute when I was unable to carry it out. It really has been a privilege, really, Tom, to see you do this over the last year. And now I would like to invite the outgoing Mayor, Tom, to say a few words as a speech of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, I'm a bit, sorry, a bit emotional. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Leader, for your very kind words. And I'll be the first to offer my sincere congratulations to you, Mr. Mayor, on this very special day. It only feels like yesterday that I was in your shoes, putting on these robes and chains for the first time, while looking ahead with excitement and trepidation to the year ahead. However, what a strange year this has been. Who would have thought that COVID-19 would have brought the world to an absolute standstill? And we must think about those who've lost their lives in this terrible pandemic disease. Thank you. It's been a big decision to take on the role, but I am very glad that I did. It's an incredible honour to serve and represent Newport as its first citizen. The world came to a halt and life put on hold for a year. However, Pat and I have been welcomed with social distance and open arms to a few events we were able to attend. But we made some great memories and met some great and amazing people doing fantastic work for our great city. Some of the highlights: attending the opening of Morella's Marvels Community Interest, a company at Langston which helped people with brain injuries. Very interesting, very well deserved they were. Launching the Wrap Up Newport event in Newport, attending Armed Force flag raising events, and marking remembrance in a way we never experienced before. Attending charity yarn bombing installations at Kellyan Memorial Gardens, attending the Welsh launch of the Sakura Cherry Tree Project, where I met the Japanese ambassador, socially distanced of course, Nichiwa. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the donated trees planted in Newport schools. Attending a virtual Christmas toy at Trinity Methodist Church. Excuse me, I feel a bit dry, sorry.
You're doing really well, Tom, and we're very proud that you were our outgoing mayor.
Thank you. And last but not least, attending monthly Zooms of the Newport and Gwent Literary Club. Unfortunately, we have been unable to organise fundraising events for my children's charity, which was Alzheimer's Wales, a charity chosen by Moy for myself.
Well done, Tom.
Sorry, my sister.
Take a breath, Tom. You've been absolutely phenomenal as Newport's mayor for 2021.
Be proud of yourself, Tom, and thank you, mate. Thank you for your service. You're a nice guy.
I'm sorry, my sister got dementia.
Don't be sorry.
You don't apologise, Mr.
We
Mayor.
Understand, Tom, please don't be sorry. It's been a difficult year for you and you've done amazingly well. We all understand. Well done, Tom.
And you know what, Tom, we've all been there. It is an emotional time.
Yeah.
And you know, John, you've done better than I could have ever done on this virtual platform that you've done the mayorship on. It's so difficult, and you're a credit to Newport, an absolute credit to Newport.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I add my thanks to what other colleagues have said? You know, as the former leader of the council, I was always struck by your complete control of what you were doing in terms of ward council work and in terms of your absolute politeness and dedication to the role of councillor. And I will continue my earlier invitation that, you know, one day, if you and your wife would like to come and join me when we can go back to London, you would be very, very welcome to join me for lunch or tea. Thank you very much, Baroness. I do appreciate that. I pull myself together now, and I do thank your kind words. However, I recently undertook a solo sponsored walk around Trinity Gardens to raise money for this great charity. The role of mayor is to support the chosen charity through raising awareness as well as money, and what an honour it was. A huge thanks to all the support staff behind the scenes, the team with management of the dairy and events, and the chauffeur.
for all your hard work in getting this organised and your valuable advice on various protocols and procedures. I must thank my Deputy Councillor Val Dudley for all your help and support. It has been hugely appreciated. And finally, thanks to my wonderful wife Pat for all support to me as Mayoress. What an amazing experience this has been to share together, and so many cherished memories will we remember forever. Thank you all, and my very best to Mayor David Williams, on his year ahead. And thank you very much. Thank you all.
Well done, Tom. Brilliant.
Yeah, well done, Tom. Top man, Tom.
Well done, Tom.
Thank you.
David, you're on mute, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, Gareth. This is my first meeting after all. Tom, you can see now the esteem you're held in by colleagues, and I think you can take a lot from that, really. And I think at this point it's useful to say to, we have a newer member who'll be introduced later on, that this is our council, and whilst we might disagree at times on issues, we are a group of people who come together for the benefits of their community, and we all try to do that. So thanks once again, Tom. I'm pleased to announce that Councillor Martin Kellaway has kindly agreed to serve as my Deputy Mayor, and also my nominated charities will be Newport Mind and the Friends of Greater Gwent Youth Music. I'll only say a few words, and I'd like to thank my wife Ruth and my daughter Victoria for supporting me over a long period of time. I will have more to say later on in the year, perhaps when we can meet face to face, because it is important that we get back to that as soon as we possibly can, and then we can move our city along, in whichever direction we can, I think. So the next item 5 now, thanks Tom. The item 5 is the appointment of the leader of the council. So will someone move the appointment of the leader of the council?
Can I declare an interest in this, please, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, of course you can, Jane. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
yeah, thank you, Roger.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, congratulations on the role of becoming mayor, and I would like to move that Councillor Jane Mudd be appointed as the leader of the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Have we got a seconder for that?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations on our incoming mayor.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to second the nomination for Councillor Mudd as leader of Newport Council. Thank you.
Okay, could we now move to the vote on that, please? Tom, I think your camera's still on. Okay, will all members now vote, please? Okay. Thank you. Gareth, do we? I think we've got pretty much a unanimous.
Yeah, that's carried, Mr. Mayor. There's one exception, but it's carried. The motion
carried.
So yeah. The leader's appointed.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, leader. I'm sure the decision wasn't in doubt. So now we hang on. We've done that right. So there were I haven't got the number in front of me now, but it was I think it was 97% voted in favour with just maybe 1 against. So therefore I declare this motion to be carried. So congratulations, leader. Can I invite you now to announce your cabinet? And they then also, of course, obviously exciting times for Councillor Hussain. Can you introduce her to the council, please?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations on your appointment to your role. And can I begin by thanking all colleagues of all parties for supporting my leadership of the council. It's a real pleasure and privilege to be elected to this role. I'd like to start then, Mr. Mayor, by announcing my cabinet, and these members are as follows. So Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for City Services and Member Development, Councillor Roger Jevons. Cabinet Member for Social Services, Councillor Paul Cochrane. Cabinet Member for Regulatory Services, Councillor Ray Truman. The Cabinet Member for Leisure, Culture and Tourism and Group Business Manager, Councillor Deb Harvey. The Cabinet Member for Assets, Councillor Majid Rahman. The Cabinet Member for Communities and Resources, Councillor David Mayer. The Cabinet Member for Education, Councillor Deb Davis. The Cabinet Member for Sustainable Development, Councillor Jason Hughes. So that's the Cabinet for the forthcoming year, Mr. Mayor. Moving on, if I may.
Yeah.
I'm delighted, colleagues, to be able to introduce to you formally at this annual general meeting the newest member of Newport City Council. So I am really pleased and very, very proud to introduce to you all Councillor Fazina Hussain, who is the newly elected member for the ward of Victoria. So I'd really like a warm welcome from all of us here at Newport City Council, Mr. Mayor, and I'm sure that you'd like to say something too.
Yes, thank you. Without sounding like don't mention the war, I've been done this for 15 years, has already been indicated, and the sense of excitement when I first joined the council, I was very excited, but I'm sorry we can't be doing it face to face at the moment. But you will find that that it really is. You meet a whole new lot of people that perhaps you didn't ever realise existed. You'll develop friendships amongst all sides of the chamber, irrespective of their political views. And we hope, and I'm sure you will, you'll go from strength to strength in Victoria Ward. Being a councillor is rewarding in the way that perhaps you wouldn't think possible. They do say that if you want to make progress in your life, it's helping people is the best way. You can have as much money in the world, and if you can't help people with problems they may have got, you're no sort of a person at all, really. So welcome to the team, and I hope I'll be able to meet up with you as soon as I can, as soon as we can get back to face to face. Thank you. Okay, right. Thank you. Now, Councillor Evans, do you wish to announce shadow appointments as Leader of the Opposition?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And first of all, can I congratulate you and also Tom on the excellent job he's done, and also to the Leader of the Council on her appointment. And can I also congratulate the newly elected Councillor for Victoria, Councillor Fazina Hussain, as well. Welcome. The Shadow Cabinet member portfolios are as follows: Conservative Group Leader and Leader of the Opposition, myself, Councillor Matthew Evans, and I declare an interest in that. My Deputy Leader and Opposition Spokesperson for Education and Skills is Councillor Will Routley. The Opposition Spokesperson for City Services and Business Manager, Councillor David Fairweather. The Opposition Spokesperson for Community and Resources, Councillor Ray Mogford. The Opposition Spokesperson for Licensing and Regulation, Councillor Tom Suller. The Opposition Spokesperson for Assets, Councillor Martin Kellaway. The Opposition Spokesperson for Sustainable Development, Councillor Richard White. The Opposition Spokesperson for Culture and Leisure, Councillor Charles Ferris. And the Opposition Spokesperson for Social Services, Councillor Jane Watkins. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Evans. I wonder if you could help me, Gareth, on my sheets now move to item 6. Is that appointment of chairs next?
That's correct, yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, yes, because I had a blank that printed out prior to this one. Right, so we invite the Leader of the Council now to move the appointments to the chairs of Planning and Licensing Committee first, and then we'll vote on those appointments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's a pleasure for me to nominate Councillor John Richards to the chair of the Planning Committee and to nominate Councillor Kate Thomas to the chair of the Licensing Committee.
Okay, thank you. We take those appointments together, Gareth, or separately?
Well, first of all, if we have a seconder for both of the appointments, then we'll take them separately.
Okay, could we have seconders for both of those, please? It could be the same person for both. If
Happy to second those, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So are there any further nominations? No, and declarations of interest, obviously, from the individuals concerned. Yeah, okay. So now I invite members to vote on those chairs, please.
If we take planning first, Mr. Mayor, if we vote on the planning appointment first, Councillor Richards.
Fine. Could we vote on Councillor Richards' chair of planning first, please? Okay, that's unanimous. Right, okay. And now the licensing, please. I haven't got the. Have other members got the
No.
They've got the phone up?
Can you send through a separate vote for the licensing chair, please?
Okay, that should have appeared on members' screens now. Is that okay? Yeah. So members, would you now please vote on the chair of licensing? Okay, if everybody's voted, so that is carried with 97%, only 3% against. Yeah, sorry, 3% against and 3%. That's changed a bit now. 3% against and 3% abstentions. Okay, but that it is carried. Thank you. Right. So now we move on to the scrutiny committees, I think. That's right. That's right, okay. So the leader of the council to move the appointment to the chair of Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee. Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'm delighted to nominate Councillor Laura Lacey to the chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee.
Okay, thank you. Can we have the voting box up now, please?
Can you ask for a seconder, Mr. Mayor, please?
Oh, sorry, Mr. Price. Do we have a seconder for that, please?
Yes, happy to second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Jevons, second it. Okay, the voting boxes should be now in front of everyone. Please cast your vote. Okay, I think if everyone's done, we've got 92% for, 6% against, and 3% abstentions. I should have asked for declaration of interest for that. I'm sorry about that. It is the first time I've done it. Right, so the next one is the leader of the council to move the appointments to the Performance Scrutiny Committee partnerships. Thank you, leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'm delighted to nominate Councillor James Clark to the role of the chair of the Performance Scrutiny Committee partnerships.
Okay, thank you. We've got a seconder for that, please.
Yes, happy to second that again, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Can we now move to vote, please, with the voting box? Should have appeared on members' screens now. So members will now vote, please. Okay, we've got that's 92% for, 10% abstentions with nobody against. Thank you. Therefore, I declare that motion carried. So the Leader of the Opposition now to move the appointment to the Chair Performance Scrutiny Committee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It gives me great pleasure to nominate Councillor William Routley.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor Fairweather. Can we now have the voting box up, please?
Could I declare an interest, Mr. Mayor, please?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. I keep forgetting that bit. Okay, the voting box should now be in front of people. Now please cast your vote. Okay. If everyone has finished, we've got 77%, 76% for, 12% against, 12% abstentions. Therefore, the appointment is carried. So next, have I missed one now? Is there Democratic Services?
Independent group to nominate for
Independence first. Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Councillor Whitehead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I'd like to nominate Councillor Chris Evans as Chair of Scrutiny Place and Corporate.
Thank you, Councillor Whitehead. Have we got a seconder, please?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Leader. Can we now, are there any declarations of interest?
Well, yes, I suppose, yes, I've got one.
I'll get this right now when we move on.
I won't vote, okay?
No, okay, fine. So couldn't we now have the voting box in front of us, please? Thank you. That should have appeared now in members on this members' screens. So now please vote. Okay, if everyone is finished, we've got 89% for, 6% against and 6% abstentions. So that is carried. So could we now ask the Leader of the Opposition to move the appointment to the Chair of Democratic Services Committee, please? Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It gives me great pleasure to move Councillor Charles Ferris.
Thank you. Is this seconded?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, happy to second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fairweather. We now move to the vote. Can we please have the voting box in front of us?
Should I make a declaration of interest, Mr. Mayor?
Okay, thank you, Councillor Ferris. The box should now be in front of everyone. So will you now please vote?
Mr. Mayor, my box is empty.
Okay, so we've got.
It's back now. It's okay.
Back up now. Okay.
No, I still got the scrutiny Place and Corporate in front of me, Mr. Mayor.
We'll hang on a minute, Kevin, so you could vote anonymously, Councillor Whitehead. If you can't, you'll have to declare.
Yeah, it's just come up, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if everyone has voted now, we've got 95% for, nobody against, and 5% abstentions. Okay, so I think now all I have to do is to congratulate all of you for your appointments, and I'm sure we're going to have a productive year. And even though I keep saying it'll be really good to get back to meeting one another in person, I think, because whilst the Zoom and Microsoft Teams are very good, they're not as good as face to face. Thank you. So appointments to committees now. These are appointments that are made by the political groups, and I presume if they haven't already, they'll be shared by the business manager of each group amongst one another. Would that be correct?
They've gone directly to Democratic Services, Mr. Mayor.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Harvey.
Mr. Mayor, sorry to interject there. Regarding the committee places, they just call for the independence parties remaining the same. Is that okay?
You mean the people that you've got?
As we were supposed, so to speak, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, they've all gone through.
Yeah,
Thanks,
okay,
Deb.
excellent.
Thanks, Deb.
So now, I think we've got that bit done. So now, Councillor Evans, you may wish to announce the appointments from your group. Our group, should I say?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the opposition appointment of members to the committees will be passed to the proper officers and recorded in the minutes, as has already been mentioned by Councillor Harvey. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew. Right, so I think that is that bit done. The only a little bit of extra we've got here is that will members also note and approve the recommendations of the Standards Committee Appointments Panel that Richard Morgan be appointed as an independent member of Standards Committee with immediate effect, and that Jill Nerton be appointed to serve as a replacement independent member when a further vacancy arrives in October of this year. I'm happy to move that from the chair. Is everyone in agreement with that? Yep, are we all okay with that one? Do we need to vote on that, or has anybody got any reason why we shouldn't do it?
No.
No, we're all
support that, Mr. Mayor.
They're okay with that, yeah?
Labour Group's fine with that, Mr.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Right, so item 8 now is appointments to external bodies. So Councillor Harvey, I'm not prompting. It sounds like I'm prompting you on this, doesn't it? But that is what is written here. So I understand that the group business managers will pass the appointment of members to the external bodies to the proper officer for recording in the minutes. Is that okay with you, Councillor Harvey?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent.
And it's already gone across.
Fine. So we didn't need a seconder for that or anything.
No.
So the only extra item that we've got today is the LDP replacement report. So it's before us to formally approve and adopt the LDP. And the leader will introduce the report. So, leader, you'll go next. Thank you. Members will be able to discuss this after we've had the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that. Just to provide some clarity there, Mr. Mayor, the purpose of the paper is to approve the LDP process, embarking on the LDP process. I don't think the notes clarified that particularly.
That's right.
So our current local development plan was adopted in January 2015, and there are many members who will recall the discussions and debates that we had on that. The time has come for us to start the process of reviewing the plan. It is a statutory plan and forms the basis upon which some of our core decisions are made on land use and development management issues. As we recover from the pandemic, it is important that the local development plan reflects our ambitions to see Newport grow in a sustainable and resilient way. It is a timely opportunity to ensure that future planning decisions fully meet the needs of our residents and stakeholders, and also gives us the ability to grow in a strategic and sustainable way. The whole review process, so the process that we are being asked to agree to today, Mr. Mayor, takes in the region of 3.5 years, and the report before you is the first step in that process. Our Development Services Manager, Matthew Sharp, will take the colleagues through a short presentation which will give members an overview of these first steps, and you will be asked to agree that we seek permission from Welsh Government to start the formal review of the LDP. Mr. Mayor, I do need to add that there are many parts to the review process, and I would reassure members that Council will be engaged at all key stages. I therefore ask that we don't become too embroiled in specific issues or speculate on the merits of individual sites, as this is something that we'll be discussing at future meetings. The purpose of the report today is to acknowledge the reasons why we need to review the plan and note the key milestones involved. So that's the introduction to the process, Mr. Mayor, and if I may, perhaps we can invite the Acting Head of Regeneration Investment and Housing, Tracy Brooks, and our Development Services Manager, Matthew Sharp, to provide the presentation on the process. Thank you. You're on mute, David.
Sorry. Good evening, Matthew. So are you going first with this, or Tracy?
I'm happy to give the presentation. I don't know if Tracy is here, but I will give the presentation.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Fine. Yeah, fine. Thank you. Yeah.
Let me just thank you, Mayor. Let me just share my screen and share the presentation with you. Can you confirm you can see that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Dita. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, councillors. So, as has been touched upon, the local development plan sets out the policies which all planning applications within Newport are determined upon. It allocates land, but it also protects some of our best historic and environmental assets. The current Newport Local Development Plan was adopted in January 2015. It covers the plan period from April 2011 to 2026. So from April 2011, some key points: 6,000 new homes have been created from April 2011 to current date. That's quite a strong figure. For example, in 2015, 16, 17, we were building close to near 1,000 units each year, and that's more than any other authority in Wales. Out of those 6,000 new homes, 20% have been affordable, and our brownfield strategy has been highly successful as well, with over 94% of completions of new homes on brownfield land. And I should add, it's not just about new homes. 26 hectares of new employment land has also been created within the plan period so far. So in terms of why we feel it's the time to review, Welsh Government regulations say that reviews should be carried out every 4 years. We are now 6 years. The success, particularly the success of the delivery of the LDP, means that we've been able to go a little bit further. But I think 6 years now, it's probably now time for a review. The review offers us a chance to look at new potential sites. So many of the sites within the current plan are complete or approaching completion. For example, Jubilee Park should be completed this year. Major sites such as Monbach Sidings have been completed in the last couple of years. So the review is an opportunity to identify further growth sites. Future Wales National Plan 2040 is the Welsh Government's latest planning policy plan. That actually identifies Newport as being part of a centre of national growth. So a review will help us to realise those aspirations. Current LDP also expires in 2026. So if we were to start a review now, that gives us a little bit of breathing space until 2026. But obviously, the later we leave it, there's a risk that we will, the plan will expire and we won't have an up-to-date current plan. And finally, particularly following COVID, the LDP will help to boost economic recovery, and it'll also be more intrinsically linked to the Newport Wellbeing Plan. So in terms of the first stage of the process, we've created a review report. Now this identifies 4 main things in the review report. Firstly, it identifies the main legislative and policy changes from LDP adoption in 2015. So a couple of the main changes in legislation: the Plan in Wales Act, introduced after the plan was adopted. Also the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act came in after the plan was adopted. So those are 2 key pieces of legislation now which have been adopted since the adoption of the LDP, which we will need to adhere to. The review report also summarises annual monitoring report key findings. So in October of every year, we produce an annual monitoring report which looks at the delivery rates of the LDP and looks at performance against key indicators. So the review report looks back at 5 years of annual monitoring reports and summarises that. It also sets out what changes might be needed, some initial thoughts with regard to that. So the whole LDP will be reviewed, but some initial thoughts perhaps in relation to retail policy in the city centre. We'll also need some new housing target figures and employment land. And ultimately the review report then recommends a full LDP review should commence. This review report has been out to public consultation in January, between 7th of January to 5th of March earlier this year. Most respondents agreed that the existing vision, the issues and objectives in the LDP remain relevant. I don't foresee any fundamental changes to the overall vision, issues and objectives. I imagine these will remain similar, but there might be more of an emphasis perhaps on climate change, environmental, air quality aspects perhaps, but that's to be reviewed and ironed out, and things will emerge as part of the whole process. Most respondents agreed with the overall findings and agreed that the LDP does need to be reviewed. Some of the main points which were raised by members of the public and stakeholders, they were keen, and they then said that planning then will help to deliver some of the well-being goals. There was some respondents talking about wanting the LDP to protect the Gwent levels from further development. Continuation of the brownfield strategy was raised. There was some comments with regard to we need to focus on regeneration of the city centre. And also one of the comments was to utilise opportunities from national and regional public transport improvements. So identify where those are happening and perhaps allocate growth around those particular areas. In addition to the review report, we also produced a draft delivery agreement and consulted upon this delivery agreement at the same time. So the delivery agreement, in summary, is a timetable for delivery of the LDP. It's our commitment to the Welsh Government with regards to when we're going to deliver, within the time frame that we're going to deliver the LDP. As part of the delivery agreement, there's a community involvement scheme, which in summary sets out who we're going to consult, when, and how we're going to engage with stakeholders, including members of the general public. So this has all been included within the delivery agreement and consulted upon. In terms of the main timetables, I'll just quickly run you through. So we had the public consultation in January to March of the review report and delivery agreement. May 2021, where we are now, currently seeking full council approval for submission to Welsh Government. So if full council are minded to approve the delivery agreement and review report today, they'll then be sent off to Welsh Government, and providing they are satisfied with them, then that will then signal the legal commencement of the LDP review. What we intend to do then later on this year in the summer, we will do a candidate site call. So we'll be going out to members of the public, developers, landowners, planning agents, asking what land they would like to see put in the LDP for development, but also for protection as well. So it's not just about development. There'll also be a consultation on an integrated sustainability appraisal, which sets out the process for assessing the environmental, social and economic implications of the plan, including all the policies and all the sites within the plan. It'll also include Welsh language assessment, equality impact assessment, health impact assessment, and it also will be closely linked to the wellbeing goals. Visions and objectives, as I said, I imagine they will broadly be similar to what we have now, but there'll be scope to review the vision and objectives, and growth options we'll be looking to consult on towards the end of the year, between July to January. So we'll start to do them in July, but we're looking to consult in January. So in terms of growth options, we'll be working with demographers to understand the population of Newport, the future population, in-migration, out-migration, births, deaths, etc. Understand the economic aspirations, and we'll be looking at different scenarios: low growth, medium growth, high growth, etc. So there'll be a consultation with regard to that to understand what we as a council would like to see. And then in July 2022, we'll be bringing our preferred strategy back to full council. So that is effectively our first draft LDP. So that's when we'll be asking full council to approve that for consultation, public consultation. So there'll be a consultation next year. And then following that public consultation, there will be a deposit plan, which is the stage where we feel that the plan is sound, and that's what we would wish to seek and submit to Welsh Government. But again, there'll be another consultation with regard to the deposit plan. It'll be brought back to full council to debate and discuss. So once we have permission from full council to submit the deposit plan to Welsh Government, that would be aiming for May 2024. There'll be an examination in public in the summer of 2024, where an inspector, stakeholders, member of the public can speak and put forward their support or their objections to policies to sites within the plan. That will be in public, that will be considered by an inspector. The inspector will then write their report, and following that, the anticipated time frame for adoption will be at the start of 2025. So the whole plan taking around about 3.5 years. So that's our delivery agreement, which we intend to submit to Welsh Government. So hopefully that's a brief summary of the review report and delivery agreement. And as your papers identify, so council is asked to approve the submission of the delivery agreement and review report. That will go to Welsh Government, and as I mentioned, submission and approval then by Welsh Government would signify the formal commencement of the process to replace the Newport LDP. Okay.
Williams, you're on mute, Mr. Mayor.
I think this is probably the most amount of time I've ever spent on mute. Matthew, thanks for that. Are there any questions from members on this? As the leader said, this is the start of the process. Okay, so we've got Councillor Al-Nawami.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations on your election to the mayoralty.
Thank you.
Yeah, I suppose really it's because of the circumstances we're in. We normally have guests waiting and all that sort of thing. But I was surprised to see a 200-page document attached to the AGM agenda for the council. And it is, of course, a very long document, plenty of information in it. The public consultation, can I just ask, I mean, it could be me that I've missed it, but were members of the councils consulted as part of the public consultation that ended in March?
Yes.
By way of?
By way of email.
Okay, thank you for that. So, but there will still be opportunities, of course, for members to make comments as we go throughout this process.
That's correct. There'll be several opportunities for members to be involved. We plan on running workshops, engaging with members. There'll be engagement with community councils, the general public. So there'll be plenty of opportunities for members to be involved within the LDP process.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Have we got any? I have one question, but have we got any questions from any more questions from members? Just one question, Matthew might know. Does our empty home strategy form part of the contribution towards the number of houses required? Thank you.
It will be factored in. What we have to do, we have to come up with when we look at populations and forecasting and growth, etc. We have to come up with a housing target. So the number of empty homes will be factored into the mix effectively. So we look at a whole variety of things, and empty homes will be part of that equation effectively. So yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So have members got any further questions? This is the start of the process, and obviously members will have to keep a close eye on proposals that may affect their wards and contribute to the process for long. Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, sorry to
Leader.
interrupt.
Oh,
The
Bev, thank
Chief
you.
Executive has indicated she'd like to
Yeah,
speak.
sorry. I did. Did you put your hand up? Because nothing came up on my screen then. Oh.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I did, but I think maybe my settings are a little bit different to elected members.
Don't worry, I wouldn't stop you speaking anyway, Bev. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that, of course. Yes, just to interject really, and just to respond. Yes, you know, it is a long report. We don't necessarily have these on the AGM. However, given the timescales within which we work in and the consultation period that's just concluded and Matthew referred to, it was imperative that we brought it to council within a specific time frame. This is merely firing the starting gun. This is a very lengthy process, so every elected member, every community member, every stakeholder across Newport will have a significant opportunity to influence the LDP that we will end up with in a few years' time. So, you know, appreciate that it's yours and Councillor Sullers' evening. You know, this is literally seeking approval for us to submit to Welsh Government and fire that starting gun, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if there aren't any more questions from members, I'd now ask members to vote. Please, can we have the vote box up in front of us?
Before you do that, Mr. Mayor, can you invite the leader just to formally move the recommendations and maybe for somebody to second them?
Sorry about that, Gareth. Leader, would you formally move the recommendation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as the Chief Executive has made very clear there, this is very much the start of the process. So, colleagues, I'd like to move that we accept the recommendations of the report in order to enable us to start the LDP review process. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Have we got a seconder for it, please?
Yes, happy to second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jevons. Can we now have the vote box in front of us, please? Okay, it should be in front of everyone now. Colleagues, if you'd like to vote, please. Okay, we've got 100% for, so that motion is most definitely carried. Okay. There we are. I think we're just, we are at the end of it now, near enough. I had made, as I said, I'll be saying a few more words later on in the year when we can meet face to face, but I did a little research on the work of Newport's mayor, and I've discovered obviously John Frost, who everybody knows about, but members may not be aware that the first mayor of Newport was Ralph Durl in the year 1314. And for members who have an interest in history and wonder what was going on in 1314, I can assure you that it wasn't that exciting, because Jacques de Molay was burned at the stake in Paris. Exeter College, Oxford was formed. And the Battle of Bannockburn, which might be quite topical really, because Robert the Bruce defeated Edward II of England, regaining Scotland's independence. So that is quite interesting. Valdemar III of Denmark was born, and rather oddly, Albert the Degenerate, I don't know how he got that name, the Landgrave of Thuringia in central Germany, died. So that was what was happening in 1314. I think it's probably the first time in 300 or 400 years or 500 years that that guy, the first mayor of Newport, has ever been mentioned. So once again, thank you for your efforts today.
He was at school, Mr. Mayor, with Ray Truman and myself.
That was fascinating, that wasn't it?
I know, I'm sorry about that, but I'd written a big long pile of notes, but I think at least he needed a mention after since 1314. It's probably the only time he's been mentioned. So if there aren't any others, thank you all for your for coming to the meeting this evening and for your kind words that you've said about me. Obviously, when we get back to more normal meetings, I'd like to visit as many places in Newport as I can. So if members can put their minds towards what they'd like me to do, please have any invitations through the Mayor's office, Otherwise, I'll get quite confused of whether I'm coming or going. But I'd really like to get into all parts of Newport, and perhaps in bits that I wouldn't normally visit as part of my work as a member of Graig Ward. Once again, thank you very much. And as I've said, we are even though we do disagree, it's sometimes quite a lot. We are a group of people who come together for the benefits of their community, and I'm sure we all do our best in that regard. So I think if that's it, Mr. Price, can we sign off and go for tea?
Yes, that's the end of the meeting, Mr. Mayor.
Right. Thank you very much, and we'll catch up with you all very soon. Thank you.
Good luck, David.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
Congratulations, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor.
Best wishes, Mr. Mayor. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.